GM, GM. Today is Wednesday, 7th of Feb, 2024. Let's do daily levels. So, I'm absolutely shocked at what I'm seeing from bears. Who is trying to short this? So, first of all, we got Bitcoin looking like this with a retest of the weekly bands, and we're now on our third week of green, where it's just grinding higher. Price is in a nice tight consolidation after an impulse off the lows, reclaiming the 50. Bands are green again. Consolidating for over a week. We got past the Monday and the Tuesday, which are if this week was going to be a trend week down, Monday or Tuesday probably would have been it. We got past that. We've gotten into Wednesday now as we head towards a weekend which has Lunar New Year and Super Bowl, as well as positive flows. We've got so much stuff. We got the ETFs having another bullish day. There you go. And you can see reclaiming their own 50. And the data is fucking insane. I can't believe this. So we got Bitcoin open interest, Bitcoin funding. I have it on there. Bitcoin OI, Bitcoin funding. Open interest for the alts and funding for the alts. So alt funding is almost negative. It was briefly, and it's basically negative across the entire alt market, which is crazy, as open interest ramps up. So I don't know what people are doing here, but it sure doesn't seem to be super bearish. And Bitcoin funding down low as well. So both of them showing signs of a buildup of shorts through a combination of open interest and funding and price. Price as well. Price is most important. Low funding or open interest, none of that matters if price is going down. If price is going down and funding's negative or funding's below neutral, then the shorts are right. But price isn't going down. Price is holding up really well in this compression, in this consolidation, and has been for over a week. And this is not the place to be shorting. This is crazy. I think bears are just completely offside here. And then you look at total 3. So we saw the altcoin funding rate pretty much at negative. And yet alts as well, not as strong as Bitcoin, but that's fine because you want Bitcoin to be stronger. Bouncing off their lows, right? After taking out that low, you can see it there. After sweeping that out, coming back up above the 50 again. And then you look at the weekly, putting an inside week after a reset, holding the bands. Not a place that you want to be shorting. This is frankly crazy. So don't know if it means that we pump right away or take off to the moon. I'll be watching Bitcoin for that, not so much altcoins. But I looked at this and I showed this chart several times. I'll actually get a fresh one. And here we are. Ignore the arrows on the chart. That's not my doing. But this is crazy. It seems like where we are right here, right? If you look at that arrow that's on the cheat sheet, the anger phase, right? You had your capitulation into your anger phase, down into depression, into the lows, and this is disbelief rally. I mean, it's literally, I can't believe, it's kind of ironic. I can't believe this is playing like this, which is disbelief. And the fact that we've now got higher prices with lower funding rates, so it means at worst, the market is in balance, if not slightly skewed in the favor of bulls after a long run up. So the signs here are of, it doesn't necessarily mean that we have to moon straight away, but there's no signs of leverage getting added here or futures driving the market or pushing it. It's really a spot-led market, a spot-supported market. So crazy, pretty crazy to me. And to go back over to Bitcoin, go to, these are all fresh charts. Weekly looks good. And what I was saying with the weekly, if it's going to be like in previous, like even the way the bottom formed over here, if you just start to see weekly candles, not massive pumps, but just grinding higher, grinding higher, grinding higher. That's what we're seeing here. I think, I'm not always right for sure, but I think at this point we're going to take out last week's high first, and then possibly go down and sweep some of this later on, which when you go down to a daily, looks something like this. And we're now at what? We're at 9 a.m. going on 10 a.m. UTC. So a few hours before the New York session opens. We had a green New York session yesterday. It was pretty bullish overall. The flows from the ETFs were positive, right? Grayscale were selling, but the rest were buying. So there was net inflows. And so I think with the fact that we're compressing nicely here, traders are probably going to front run the next New York session, so today, and I wouldn't be surprised to see us push up to that area today before the New York session. Now, if that gets hit, I wouldn't be surprised to see a move down if people start piling in. Let's say the shorts that are building up get squeezed up, people start to enter longs. I can easily see it being squeezed out and taking out people's stops before it eventually, grinds higher. But to me, on the low time frames, it seems to be skewed towards upside, at least short term. Gold had a green day yesterday as well, doing the same, very similar kind of compression Bitcoin's in, except gold's been in the compression for a bit longer. Stocks broadly continuing to be positive, showing strength. I think the dollar is one thing people have been looking at. The dollar had been on a nice reversal path, as you can see here. But the dollar's taken out that level and seems to be rejecting off it so far. Early to say, but if the dollar does reject off that, then this remains mostly a downtrend structure. The dollar really needs to lose this level where I have the alert set. If the dollar loses that level, so it can fall back in here, it can chop around, it can still go higher for sure. If the dollar, though, breaks this structure level, to me that would indicate dollar going lower and dollar weakness. That's probably the one thing you want to be on the lookout for. And bond yields, and same thing. They had a spike up, but in the midst of a downtrend. So yields down is generally good for Bitcoin and gold, because if yields are rising, it means it's more attractive to hold bonds because you're getting a higher percentage yield on them. And since Bitcoin and gold are not yield-bearing assets, right? You don't get paid to own Bitcoin. You don't get paid to own gold. The appreciation of Bitcoin and gold comes from price going up. But if, for example, yields are up here, right, when they peaked out at 5%, that meant you could literally make more money. You could get a higher return for just holding government bonds, for buying them, for having the yield, taking the 5% instead of the 4%. So it's less attractive as they drop. And as they drop further, and especially if they break this low, again, that makes Bitcoin, gold, and even stocks more attractive, all else being equal. So, yeah, overall, trading-wise, I'll talk a little bit in Trade of the Day about how to actually trade it, but for the market itself, seems to be pretty healthy, pretty balanced, and at least, again, funding rate does not tell you who people are shorting by itself. But when you see this persistent decline in funding as price remains steady, so in this range, where price has gone sideways, yeah, like you see this, price has gone sideways and it's in this sort of compression, right? It's been making higher lows all the way and lower highs all the way. As it's been doing that, open interest has been climbing up funding rate has broadly been declining or staying flat on BTC, but especially here in the last couple of days, sliding down. But it's always been well below. Sorry about that. I didn't mean to open up my fucking music. Who uses Apple Music, by the way? There we go. So being below neutral, which is 0.01, altcoin, especially altcoins, because your real sign of health or weakness or danger in the market will be if altcoin funding is getting too high while price isn't moving. But we're seeing altcoin OI rising, yet the funding rates dropping off. So it indicates and seems like, again, alts are not being led by leverage. They're not being led by futures, which would indicate possibly some spot accumulation, some support, some absorption coming in. So overall, to me, unless there's something major that shocks the market today, and we have a couple of Fed speakers, but nothing major. This could go either way, right? We've got a FOMC one there at 4 p.m., 5:30, 10-year bond auction, all of that, and then Bowman. So there's 3 Fed speakers and a 10-year bond auction, which will be all of interest, but nothing overly crazy. If you've got 3 different FOMC members speaking, they're probably, one of them is going to say be dovish, one of them is going to be slightly hawkish, and maybe they'll say, yeah, we should cut rates, we shouldn't cut rates. They all have different opinions, but nothing there that would have me being majorly concerned about downside. So seems like 44k should be, again, nothing's guaranteed in the markets, but 44k should be easy for the bulls to hit from here with the way this is compressing up. And as I said, just keeps finding support, holding up. After that, if it does hit, then we'll see. But yeah, to me, it looks like we're going to make a run for there, probably today. I thought we could do it yesterday. We had a little bit of a sell-off. I guess today is possible too. So that's it. GM. See you all later on the live stream. 5 p.m. UTC. And white belts and everybody in boot camp. 7 p.m. UTC will do white belt